Hi, Noah. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's no problem. We're looking forward to talking to you about kind of all things gaming, all thing Acres Manufacturing. To start off with, if you could kind of maybe give us an intro into yourself, your role at the company, and then we could talk a bit more about the company itself.
Yeah, so my name is Noah Akers. Company's name is Akers Manufacturing. Like everybody who works at the company, I tend to wear many hats. I get involved in the marketing and the sales and the product design and pretty much everything that we do. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people that at our company that kind of follow the same path. So we're all wearers of many hats, as we like to say.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, your father John, if I'm not mistaken, he's a big part in the company, and we've heard good things at Gambling Insider about kind of his vision and how he's kind of maybe helped change gaming for the better in the last few years.
Yeah, definitely. I think that my dad is pretty well known in the gaming industry. He's I think the original inventor of player tracking and loyalty systems in the casino industry. And actually, one of the interesting opportunities that we have is that all the systems that we're essentially competing with today are made in that era of when he designed it, 25 plus years ago. So we go into casinos today, and they're very limited technologically because they're still using the products that he designed in 1995, 1996. Literally the same hardware, no added capability. So casinos are really handcuffed in what they can do because that development hasn't really improved in 25 plus years. The other thing I would say is that we always look at things from the player's perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty unique in terms of the casino industry, especially casino suppliers who tend to look at things as just how can I add this module or force a replacement cycle of some on-screen hardware or something like that. There's a lot of things that we can get into further in the conversation, but as we talk about bringing out cashless gaming, as we talk about bringing on real-time data, as we talk about migrating the player experience to an app. Well, what is the player experience, right? Why do players want to participate in this? Why would they want to participate in this? And if a casino wants to operate profitably, they have to provide something that players enjoy using and players feel like they're getting benefit from. And I think too often that's not even in the equation in terms of the design of a product. And we place the highest priority on the player experience.
Absolutely. So it's a strong legacy for John there, but I hope you don't mind me asking, is that a tough act to follow for yourself?
For sure, yeah. I mean, I think that caught me off guard. Yeah, it's definitely tough. I don't think that I'll ever gain the notoriety that my dad has. He's a brilliant engineer. There's a lot of great things I could say about him. So he's a free thinker. He doesn't get bogged down by ideas of others or ideas that are just kind of assumed to be facts. He's always willing to to examine things and find the truth in things, or at least our truth in things. And I think the other great thing I would say about him is he doesn't get discouraged, right? So we face an obstacle here and there, even after months or years of work. And when that obstacle maybe calls into question whether or not we're going to have success, a lot of people, myself included, can get frustrated, get emotional. And that's something I've honestly, I've never really even seen out of my dad. He's very logical, and he says, hey, you know what, this is the barrier. Let's work on removing that barrier, and then we can be successful. And I think that, as I talk to, myself every day and I talk to my kids, that's an attribute that I try to implement into all of us, because, there's emotion and frustration doesn't get you anywhere. Right. And so if you have an obstacle, let's think about it logically and figure out how do we remove that obstacle and achieve success. And so I really do admire my dad quite a bit. I'll probably never be able to, replace him. And, I guess he's like a AGA, American Gaming Association Hall of Fame. I don't really expect my name to be up there. It's not really what I'm shooting for, but definitely great to be around him at work every day, and just to be able to call him my dad.
No, that's great to hear. Kind of nice warm answer there, and I hope I didn't put you on the spot too much with that question.
Hey, my mom is really great too, by the way.
Yeah, definitely. moving into kind of, you mentioned cashless. So cashless, something we've all talked about and heard a lot about, and Gambling Insider and our sister publication Gaming America, we've covered it a lot in depth. When it comes to Acres and your firm, kind of overall, what if I said cashless, just as a jumping off point, where would you take the conversation?
Well, there's a lot that goes into cashless, right? And I think that the more you layer onto it, the more likely you are to have success, right? So there's a lot of benefits for casinos to go cashless. And I think we all see that, right? So number one, just the cost of inventorying and securing money is expensive, right? So if we take that out of the equation, then that's more profit to the bottom line. Add to that, the process of moving and handling money, obviously the transaction fees, things like that. In addition, on a game to game basis, right? There's bill validators and ticket printers and things like that, and slot machines that add cost. That if we can go to a pure cashless model, and obviously that's a long ways away, casinos will save money, right? And so there's a lot of benefits that we can see that casinos will gain from going cashless. But the real question is, how do we benefit the players, right? So I've seen a couple instances of cashless where all it is either an app or an on-screen kind of secondary screen that they have attached to the game, where the player types in a command and moves money from a wallet somewhere to the slot machine. And when there's no other features beyond that, what is in it for the player? Why would they bother to go sign up? Why would they bother to move their money into that wallet? Why would they bother to go through this clunky user interface? There's no benefit to them whatsoever. And so what we've done is we've created a system that we call Foundation. It's a hardware device that you plug into the machine, and it does two things. It grabs all of the real-time data from any slot machine, and that actually works out to be over 1,000 times more data than what casinos are collecting today. Obviously, casinos don't have Foundation. So they're getting a hugely new, rich set of data that they've never had before. And then Foundation also gives casinos the ability to change the credit meter on any slot machine on command, right? So that means that you can do bonuses, like new bonus games that are automatically changing the credit meter for the player, and you can do cashless, right? So you can plug the gate, you can interface the game into essentially a payment processor or a wallet system, where that payment processor is telling you, hey, Noah Acres is moving $100 onto machine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Foundation will automatically do that for you. And so when we wrap all that up into one experience, so we call that an electronic ledger account, or the Acres wallet is known on our website. It really, really changes the player experience in a beneficial way to the player, because now I have the ability to move my money. I have the ability to use points and free play and earn that stuff as I go and see real-time messages. The casino can send me offers in real time or send me messages in real time as I play, and they would know kind of how I'm experiencing the game, and they can build in different levels of automation to say, hey, if this player is losing too much, we want to respond in this way. Maybe we send a message, maybe we send an offer, maybe we send an employee over to talk to them. But this really becomes an all-encompassing player interface that's going to improve the player experience and do far more than just give the ability to move money to and from the game.
You mentioned real-time data, and again, it's perhaps slightly less talked about than cashless, but definitely still a hot topic in the industry. How important is it for the casino experience overall? And any casinos who aren't necessarily jumping on real-time data, how far can they be sort of left behind without kind of utilizing and acting on kind of like say engaging with customers right then and there when they're playing?
Yeah, I think that this is really untapped territory, right? And I think that the really smart operators that we've talked to over the past 9 months or year or so, as we introduce our product, they say, hey, cashless gaming is great, but what we are really after is the real-time data, because they know. I mean, just look at what's happened in our lives in the past 20 years, right? So you got Google, you got Amazon, you got Facebook, you got Netflix. All these companies are using real-time personalized data to market to you and enhance your player experience. On the casino, we don't do any of that. right? And so the real problem is, I think at the outset I mentioned that we are using in our industry hardware that is 25 plus years old to conduct player loyalty. And that's a big problem because 25 years ago, there was no real notion of real-time data. There was no notion of mobile devices. So that real-time data wasn't really important. All casinos were trying to do in the 1990s was essentially count how much you played so they could send you a direct mail offer with a coupon and, kind of get you into their loyalty system that way. Things have evolved quite a bit. And if you look at the growth of the tech industry, again, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, all these guys that are using personalized real-time data on every single player or every single customer, those industries have grown tremendously, like thousands of times over. And the gaming industry, at least in the US, we have a huge saturation of casinos over the past 20 years. But our net gross gaming revenue is is underwater when you account for inflation. So our industry hasn't been growing. And you look at the industries that have been incorporating real-time and personalization, they've been growing exponentially. And we think that when casinos adapt the real-time data, they're going to experience the same kind of growth. And there is a challenge there. Number one, as I said, casinos haven't really, nobody's using real-time data yet. They've never been trained to use it. They don't know where to store it. They don't know how to process it. So all these things have to be knocked out of the way before we can achieve success. But the time to start doing that is right now, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, definitely. If casinos adapt, as you say, to kind of real-time data and current circumstances, how quickly are we talking that the industry can modernize? Are we talking a number of years? What kind of time frame could we, if any, can we put on that?
I think it's pretty quick. I mean, I think that again, let's back up and look at it from the player's perspective, right? So let's say you're sitting at a game and you put $100 in, and you play that all the way down to $10, right? I would say that if you played it from 100 to 10, you're unlikely to redeposit. You're unlikely to put another bill into that machine, right? Because you haven't done it yet. So at that point, the player is bored. They think they can't win. I don't know what's going through their mind. But the casino would have the ability to say, hey, Noah, put in $20 now and we'll give you $30 worth of credits, or put in $20 now and we'll give you alone the chance to win this special progressive jackpot for the next 10 minutes. Whatever it is, we can recapture that player's imagination. We can kind of reinvigorate that experience and make it interesting again. And just think about all the tools. Like if you just have all the data on your players in house, right? So here's a funny thing to think about. There's a few hundred, to 1,000 people plus in any casino at any given time. What if the casino knew how much money was in every player's pocket at any given moment? They would be able to know who to market to, what level of offer to send them, how to treat them, so on and so forth. When we go to cashless and we have this real-time data component, they will know exactly how much money you have. They'll know your spend history, they'll know your spend potential, and they'll be able to market to you accordingly. So I think that once we get these systems in place, which the onboarding process isn't that long, changes are going to come pretty rapidly.
So you're talking about kind of things that will boost GGR, boost kind of engagement and deposits and things like this. One thing I do want to mention, which is maybe slightly a separate discussion, but obviously over the last kind of 10 months in Nevada, we've had over $1 billion of GGR. And I guess from your point, if casinos were even more efficient in using real-time data, this number could be even higher. But I wanted to ask kind of as someone kind of in the industry, what do you put down these successful numbers to? Is it kind of just pent-up demand? Is it the fact that we had the pandemic and closures and that kind of thing? Why is Nevada and kind of Vegas booming so much right now?
Well, I think that yes, that pent-up demand. I think that there's fewer entertainment options on the table. I think that also, you had some really rich stimulants coming from the government that's putting money in people's pockets, on a weekly or monthly basis, and turns out that's pretty good for casinos. to give people money. And so all those kind of contribute to the success that we've had in gaming. So really, even pre-pandemic, I think I heard that casinos were doing pretty well, especially regional casinos. And now Vegas is doing really well. And what we're hearing in Vegas is that labor's down, like there's fewer people in the workforce, so the margins are higher. The casino marketing offers are down because players are just coming. And it's just, it's the entertainment's down. A lot of the buffets are closed. So a lot of the expense elements are gone. And we're just catering to the players, which is, that's a good thing. I think that for a while, Vegas was a little bit lost in trying to build up like the hotel and entertainment and all that stuff. That's great, and that brings people. But there was a core of gamblers that I think was kind of lost in the shuffle. And now the focus is getting more on those gamblers. I will say that, one thing that I think we can improve on is the demographic of gamblers. As everybody knows, it's an aging demographic. I think that for every, past few decades, every 10 years has gone by, the average age is increased by 8 years. So we've essentially, over the past 20 years, we've lost a generation of new players. And I think that the reason is, again, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, all those companies that are marketing to people, real-time, mobile devices, personalized. The younger consumer wants those types of experiences, and they're not able to get them in the casino environment. Now, casinos are really successful amongst the older demographics because they're not demanding these types of experiences. And that's great. So we can serve them very well with the offerings that we have today. But if we want to get beyond that generation, we really have to change it up and get into this real time and personalization and mobile devices.
So you've talked about kind of Acre's aims and the wider industry's aims when it comes to cashless and real-time data. Looking ahead to 2022, because we're quite early into the year, and you've just mentioned one just now. You've mentioned a couple of challenges. What are Acre's biggest challenges, but also the wider industry when it comes to kind of achieving your aims this year?
Well, I think again, that top of everybody's mind is the status of the pandemic, right? So we don't want to see new variants and new outbreaks and things like that have gone on for the past 2 years. And obviously shutdowns are kind of a nightmare scenario. So that's one thing that we'll just take that off the table. Obviously we're all hoping for that. But I think that, along with that goes the travel restrictions and things like that are obviously really bad for business. I think that casinos need to return to normal a little bit. They need to find a way to get some of the staffing back in place. Like from my personal experience, like the IT departments are running extremely lean. They're almost falling over because they have so much to do and there's so few of the people in there. We have to increase our service standards. Casinos are doing well, obviously, but I don't think that just from a customer standpoint, I go in and I might valet park my car and it takes me 25 minutes to get to get my car when I pick it up because they only got one guy at the valet. So if we keep giving people negative experiences, they're going to stop coming, right? And thankfully, right now, casinos are doing well, and I think partially because every industry is having these problems, right? So you go to a restaurant, you can go to a grocery store, you can go anywhere you want, and they're short-staffed, right? So you're going to have a negative experience in a lot of places caused by that short staffing. But if we're going to grow, we really have to work to address that problem and provide positive experiences for players. And I know that like the situation is a little bit different in Vegas versus some of the regional casinos. But like when I worked as an operator in Vegas, we took a lot of pride in the fact that people were coming here to spend their vacation money with us. They're spending their free time that, they work all year so that they have some money and they have the ability to travel and take a holiday, either, with a friend, family, loved one, whatever it is. And we can't let them down. Like we can't make you wait in line the whole time. We can't make you, we can't cancel your show last minute. All these things like that. Those issues have to be worked out if we're going to continue to be successful in 2022 and beyond.
A final question for you now, which kind of follows on from that last one. Let's say kind of the biggest challenges are hopefully overcome, and I guess the phrase. I was going to use a Latin phrase there. I've forgotten what it is, so I won't. But basically, if everything remains constant, if everything remains, if nothing terrible goes wrong, as you say with the pandemic, what does Acres? If we're sitting here this time next year, if you look back on 2022 as a successful year, what would you have achieved? What kind of goals do you have, and what would make a successful 2022 for you?
Well, I think that we have a lot in the a lot of flames in the fire right now, as you say, and a lot of opportunity for success. So foundation is currently I think we're installed in 30,000+ games. I think by the end of this year, we're hoping it's into the six figures. I think that we'll be doing cashless in probably a dozen or more states. I'm hoping that we can layer in the real-time marketing aspect to it. We're building a bonusing system, we call it the Foundation Jackpot Controller. We have some signage packages coming out for it that's going to allow operators the ability to have the most flexible bonusing games that they've ever had that can fit on top of games they own rather than games they lease. I think that we have the Foundation App Store that I think was just announced today, where we are welcoming third-party developers into our environment. They can come in and create and sell their own applications to casinos. So I think that for us, a successful year would just be continuing to the path forward of achieving success on all these different product fronts, just to get our ideas out about what can be done with real-time data and personalization.
Well, Noah, best of luck with everything you aim to achieve, and certainly best to John and the family, and hope you guys kind of carry on your current success. Thanks very much for your time and for your fascinating insight, and look forward to having you again in the future.
Okay, thanks a lot for having me. Appreciate it.